Live from Detroit, it's the Lowdown on Motown Sports Podcast with your hosts, Dane Williams, Junko Bodie, and Bob Daniele. If you're looking for the best present to take to your mother-in-law's birthday party, you're in the wrong place, dude. We talk Michigan sports here. It's real, it's raw, and there are no punches pulled. What happens when you put a gambler, a rocket scientist, and a radio jock in the same room? Well, we're all about to find out, and it probably won't be pretty. But whatever happens, it will be lively. So grab a brew, sit yourself in your favorite rocker, and take notes. If you're some kind of nutcase, the boys are back in town and talking about the stuff that matters, Motown Sports. So let's get to it, people. Here's the host of today's show, Rockin' Robert Daniele.
Hey friends, what up? Welcome to the Lowdown on Motown Sports Podcast. This is the bad moon, bad mojo, bad juju edition, whatever you want to call it, of the sports podcast. I'll be your support host to take you through this next hour. Thanks for stopping by wherever you may be. We appreciate you. If you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. It helps others find us. We will be here on YouTube and Spotify. And I'm here with the guys that will give us some insight as to what the hell happened. Talking about Junko Bodie and Blue Dane Williams. Fellas, got to tell you, as I'm heading into the studio, I tried to get into a positive mood. I checked out a few puppy videos, baby videos online. I tried to get in a positive mood by listening to some old Bob Ufer sound checks, right? Still, I kept on thinking how the Lions were on the wrong end of a J.J. McCarthy homecoming, and Michigan, best we could say was it was a W, right? Not the worst football weekend, but one we'd like to forget. How you doing, guys?
Doing well. Doing well.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me, Bob, of a Rich Rod weekend. After the Rich Rod game, even remember that game where they beat Illinois like 75-73 or something. I don't remember what that number was, and they come running off the field, and and you turn to your wife and you say, "I can't believe I just watched that," right? And that's kind of how I felt after the Michigan game this weekend, and the same with the Lions.
Rich Rod won this weekend.
Did he?
Rich Rod won this weekend.
Where's he coaching now? Is it Jack State?
No, West Virginia.
Oh, that's right.
He went back to West Virginia. They ended up beating number 22 Houston. Can you believe that?
Huh.
Yeah.
I can't believe Houston's number 22 out of that scenario. But yeah.
Well, how about we start with the Lions, right? We must. Lions lose to Minnesota 27-24. Inept, anemic offense. Uncharacteristic with the penalties. Some bad stuff, guys. Rushing only a total of 65 yards. 6 receptions on 97 yards. That was probably the only highlight. Sam Laporta looked good. And we got J-Mo back into the mix, right? But Goff was sacked 5 times. Where was that offensive line? Lions couldn't convert on third down. They went 5 for 17 on third down. A lot of things that you can point to, like as I said, offensive line. Goff under pressure all day. Gibbs could do nothing. And in my opinion, he was improperly used. Special teams, Bates blocked field goal. The return coverage, please. And the defense outside of Campbell and Hutch gave up 6 yards per carry on average. So, guys, where do we start? Was it Jared Goff? Did he seem off tonight? Or was it the coordinator, John Morton? Why don't you lead us off, Junko?
Well, yeah, I thought this, and you and I talked about this pre-show, Bob, but I thought this was the first time that they missed Ben Johnson this season. I felt like there were not enough adjustments made in this game when they saw what Minnesota was trying to do on defense. The quick slant was there all day. I think they ran it once, and I think it ended up being like a first down near the goal line for them. But I mean, they did so many things wrong. I mean, the Montgomery fumble was ridiculous. I don't know if Goff thought he was playing volleyball or football the way he was spiking the ball into the ground, right? And you mentioned the special team miscues. I don't remember a game where they had that many. Maybe I don't even remember they had that many that last season. And just all their missed opportunities on defense. I'm sure Dane was probably over there swearing at the TV. What were you thinking there, Dane?
Me swear at the TV? No. I was looking at all the positive things were coming out of there. Really, the only positive was JJ, I think, the way he was playing.
Right.
I was rooting for JJ, but I certainly didn't want Minnesota to win. But yeah, everything that Bob said. Junko, you brought up the fumble. I mean, I was trying to boil this thing down because there's so much to that game yesterday. I mean, you could go after, right? The Gibbs not getting, the Gibbs. What about his pass blocking? Oh my God!
I was going to bring that up. He
personally gave up 2 sacks. Middle linebacker just ran him over.
Yeah,
one
you're right.
Blew him off.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. So I had two positives. I had Hutch because he had 2 sacks. 3 quarterback hits, and he had tackle for loss. And I know Junko mentioned yesterday, too, watching the game, was, he took the inside path, especially on the McCarthy touchdown run, where, he does need to maintain that outside contain. And Laporta, we brought him up. But the penalties, 10 for 76 yards, it's crazy. It's the most this season. I don't know. But again, trying to boil it down, the Vikes, their D was just too much. 5 sacks, 11 hits, 10 tackles for loss, 24 pressures. It's too much. The fumble and the block kick. I mean, if I had to boil it down to that, because that fumble and block kick turned into 10 points for Minnesota. We get a turnover on the interception by Terry Arnold. We get 0 points off that interception. So
you mean the 10-point swing minus the 3 that Detroit would have got on the field goal, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, exactly. So, it could have been like 13-point swing there almost. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's the difference in the game. I mean, it lost by 3, and those 2 plays really did. Now, you can talk about the whole game, and there was certainly a lot to talk about there, but I think it kind of boiled down to his mistakes, too many penalties, the fumble, the block kick.
Also some bizarre officiating, right? The Jack Campbell sack that wasn't a sack.
That was a ridiculous call.
I mean,
you can't sack the quarterback now? Right. Is that what they're saying?
He had a clear shot. What's he supposed to do?
He hit his head to the side. He doesn't drive the guy into the ground. Right? And he hits him as he's releasing the ball. I mean, come on. That's not even close to by my standards, that's not even close to roughing the passer.
The ref said that he went down on him with all his weight, and they're supposed to try to go down and not go on all the way. It's a stupid. I think it's a stupid
How the hell?
rule. It's a stupid rule. But, these linemen are going to get hurt trying not to, go with all. They're coming at them 100, full speed. And how do they stop from not going down with all their weight? And, quite frankly, I thought it was a bad.
They act in the NFL like the quarterback has no options now. Like he can't throw the ball earlier or duck or any of that other stuff, right? I mean, the quarterbacks have an opportunity to protect themselves, but they're trying to make plays, and they're taking away the ability of the defensive players to make plays. It's a ridiculous rule. They need to change that.
Well, Junko, you like to talk about complementary football. This was uncomplimentary.
You're reading my notes, Bob.
I'm just saying, complimentary. This was uncomplimentary, about as uncomplimentary as you can get. But let's talk about J.J. McCarthy a little bit. Displayed 1 quarter previously of productive football, and this game, I mean, he looked like it was very poised. Why the sudden change? Now, Dane, you've watched J.J. McCarthy a whole heck of a lot. Is he really that good, or was Detroit's defense just that bad?
JJ was that good when he needed to be. I'll just say he was that good when he needed to be. He wasn't good all the time. But when he needed that, third down completion to seal the win, beautiful
yeah,
pass.
Yeah,
And
perfect catch.
when he scrambled for the touchdown, perfect. That's the thing he needed to do there. And a couple times he ran for a first down. So, no, he wasn't perfect all the time, but he was very good in critical situations when they needed him. That's what I say about JJ. Junko?
Yeah, Junko?
I think Dane's full of it. Honestly, I don't think JJ was that good. I think Detroit was that bad. And I would answer your question too, Bob, with another question. What did Detroit take away from Minnesota defensively in this football game?
Not a thing.
Not a thing, right?
Yeah.
They didn't contain him. They didn't stop the run. They didn't stop the pass. On that last pass that McCarthy completed that sealed the game, that ball was underthrown. He just put it on the receiver and let the receiver make a play. The defensive back never turned around and played the ball, right? That's bad defense. And it was just like one bad defensive play after another in the game. They let JJ escape the pocket. They let him get comfortable, And I get it that they got Hallett, their third string safety in the game, and he's trying to make plays out there, and they did pick on him a little bit.
That's who it was.
But, it's got to be next man up in the NFL. Either you're good enough to play in the NFL or you're not. There's a lot of guys who are looking to make NFL rosters at safety. Did you know that Detroit is dead last in the ESPN the win rate, like how many times their defensive linemen beat defensive linemen to get to the quarterback? They're last in that statistic in the NFL.
Really?
I didn't know there was a statistic like that.
Yeah. Yeah, when I read that, I was like, are you kidding me? And they just gave Hutch all this money, right? And deservedly so. And by the way, on that play where he was running inside, that was a loop. The tackle was supposed to come out and cover the contain there, and he was just late getting there. He was chasing the quarterback, but that one step made a difference. So anyway, that's how I saw. I thought JJ played good. I give him credit, and I'm also a JJ McCarthy fan. I want to see the kid do well, but he wasn't as good as he looked yesterday.
Okay. Well, it was an important game. Lions coming off of a bye. All these things that you thought last week we talked about it. We thought they had going for them. A few of the players coming back, and none of it mattered. I don't know if it was some bad Halloween candy or what, but they just didn't seem ready to play coming off of a bye week. And of course, Campbell took the hit for that, saying that it was his fault. But this was a big game. But now the Vikings played like their hair was on fire. They really needed this win because they would have gone under 500. They're at 500 now. I think their season would have been over with this loss. So halfway point through the season, they salvaged it. Lions are still 5-3. Not the end of the world, but a game that we thought we should have had. Now, Tuesday, we've got the trade deadline. We're recording on Monday afternoon right now. NFL trade deadline is tomorrow. So Lions need some help. At first, you didn't think so, but you're always looking to be stronger. Of course, the defensive line is always a question mark. We need to bolster that. Secondary, we need because of the injury and the lack of depth there. Now, Christian Mahogany's out, so we don't know how long. So now all of a sudden, our offensive line can use some help. And I'll throw one more thing out there for you guys. All right, and not that you want to cover it, but this thought came into my head. What happens if Goff goes down? I thought of this after Jaden Daniels got hurt last night. What happens if Goff goes down? Is Kyle Allen going to be the guy to take him to the playoffs, through the playoffs? Kirk Cousins is out there. Russell Wilson is out there. I'll tell you what, I'll throw it to Junko first for some ideas of who we should target. And then, Dane, you can take it from there. Go ahead, Junko.
Well, I like the Kirk Cousins idea. I think that's a really good idea. But I don't think that that's how Detroit rolls. And, Kirk Cousins is a vocal guy, and I could see how he could be a disruption to the Lions locker room.
Okay.
So I don't think they'll go after him for that one. Hey, there's a couple names that I keep hearing out there that the Lions could possibly be interested. One is Boye Mafe, the Seattle defensive end. Last year, he's on the last year of his rookie contract, from what I understand, and he's a number 32 ranked defensive end in the NFL right now in terms of pressures. I think that would be if that's somebody Seattle wants to unload, I could see Detroit making a play there. That's where the experts kind of think that Detroit might be looking. If I had my own picks, I'd pick. I know that Vondre Sweat from the Titans. Titans are out of the race now, right? Here's a guy who's at the end. He's kind of out of favor with the management team. That there's been a turnover of management with the Titans. He's 6'4", 366, and he's really fast for his size. He's really known as a run stopper. And what do we need in the middle of our defensive line? We need a run stopper, right? And I think he'd be a great fit for us. A guy we could sign to a longer-term contract. I like the idea of him. I also like defensive end Brad Chubb from the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Another guy. Dolphins have like 4 defensive ends that they're rotating in right now, and they've got a lot of draft choices. I could see where Detroit could come in and make a play for Brad Chubb, especially since the Dolphins are out of it again this year. He's got 4 sacks this season already. He's on a minimum contract, so I think he'd be a really attractive option for Detroit. And then at defensive back, I like Alontae Taylor from the Saints. He's also on the last year of a rookie contract. He's wanting a big payday. I'm in favor of finding guys that are already performing and paying those guys rather than going to the draft in the first round and picking up a guy like, who's number 6, Arnold.
Yeah.
How much are they paying that guy, right? I want to pay a guy who's already performing. Go give him a 3rd round or a 4th round draft chip for Alontae Taylor. Sign him to a contract and let's go. That's how I see it. And get the help right now.
Is that what it would take? I'm wondering. Do the Lions covet their own people a little too highly to give it up?
Well, we know they need offensive line. We know they're going to have to revamp their offensive line this year because let's be honest, you can't have a quarterback who's a statue and have a bad offensive line. Those two things, those are oxymorons, right? They're going to have to figure, and they want to run the football. So I think losing their center this year, I forget his name off the top of my head, and having him retire just before the season started, and then having to move Glasgow over, and so and then with a couple of injuries, the offensive line is a mess for Detroit.
Are you thinking of Ragnow?
Yeah, I'm thinking of Ragnow, exactly.
Okay.
And their offensive line's a mess. It's something they've got to figure out if they're going to make a playoff run. But, here's the thing I don't like about what Detroit management's doing when they start saying we're going to stand pat and we're going to build for the future. The future is now for Detroit, right? This is the best team they've ever had. Last year they were a couple of plays from getting to the Super Bowl. And if this is where you should be planting your flag for the next 2 or 3 years, because if you're going to do anything in this, before we die, it's going to be now.
Oh, thank you. On that cheery note, Dane, you got any thoughts on offense?
Right? Do I have any time left?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, listen to Mr. Know-It-All. Okay, here we go.
Well, let's talk after you get done with your useless trivia. But go ahead.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. Yeah. Hey, I've cut that down greatly. So we hit on it. When you look at and I'm going to focus on the offense. We've got 2 great running backs. We've got great wide receivers. We've got a really, really good quarterback. And so, yes, offensive line. I think that's if we're going to make any trades here and try to make a difference, especially with the injuries. I mean, especially in Mahogany, he's out for who knows how long. Campbell said it's going to be a long time. I don't know when we get him back. Decker's banged up, and he, had a holding penalty yesterday. He was getting, lit up like crazy. Ratledge, he was hurt. Sewell was holding his shoulder. I don't know what's going to go on with that. So
he had a rough game.
That offensive line, not only they play not so well, they're banged up. So I think if we're going to go somewhere, if we're going to make a trade, I think it's going to have to be there on offense. There's a couple out there. I think you guys will recognize his name, Cesar Ruiz. Remember, he played for the Wolverines back 16 to 19 time frame. Damn good offensive lineman. He's a guard with the Saints right now. He played center for a while. They put him back to guard. I was looking at some stats, and over his 6 years in the league and playing a number of games, it looks like he only had 3 holding penalties and 3 false start penalties over that time frame. So, I mean, when we're looking at the number of penalties they just had and the number on the offensive line, he may be a good pickup, and it looks like he's available. The other one, I don't know much about, Jackson Powers Johnson from the Raiders. He's an offensive guard with the Raiders, and he's out there too. Only 2 years in the league. I looked at his penalties too: 4 holds and 5 false starts. Not as good as Ruiz, but if there's one area where we really need to strengthen, it's that offensive line, especially. And you guys saw it after this last week's performance and the potential injuries. Who's going to play coming up? It's a damn good question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. But what about Zeitler? Have you guys seen anything from the Titans? Anything on him, offensive line?
Well, didn't he play for Detroit previously? I thought he did.
I think there's 2 Zeitlers. This is one there's a Zeitler right now that is on the practice squad, but it's not him.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why the name sounds familiar to me, but his name keeps coming up. All right. Well, division game down the tubes. We got a tough road to hoe. Well, I mean, we got next week is Washington, Philadelphia, and then the Packers. I mean, it's not an easy road for these Lions. So next Sunday on the road in Washington, based on what you've seen this season, guys, what do you think it'll take for the Lions to win this Sunday? What do you think, Junko?
Well, just to hit on the one point that you made about the Eagles game coming up, the Eagles are been active in this NFL trade line. So
early.
They recognize their time is now, and that's just not to belabor that point. Here's the thing: is I heard Jaden Daniels got hurt this week. Is that right, Dane?
That's correct. Last night,
dislocated left elbow. Is that what I heard?
It looks like, yeah.
Yeah, and so he's going to be gone at least a couple of weeks. So Detroit's not going to face him, which means they're facing Marcus Mariota. Right. So here, adequate quarterback. He's much better at home than he is on the road, and they're lucky for him. They're getting Detroit at home. Their defense is pretty low rated. I think they're 26 overall in the NFL. That's what I
had. Their pass rush is 29th.
29.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think 26 or 27 overall. They're only averaging 3 sacks per game, 8 pressures a game, that's the first thing I looked at when I was trying to figure out what Detroit was going to be facing this weekend on offense, because we know right now they can't block anybody. So, you got to like their chances with Jaden Daniels out.
Right.
But the question is, which offense is going to show up, right? For Detroit. Yeah. Is it going to be the Dane Williams offense, or is it going to be the Junko Bodie offense?
What do you mean by that?
Yeah. I'm sure yours was the good one, Dane.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But, I don't know. I have a prediction for the game, but I won't give it until you tell me to. So
okay. All right.
But I like Detroit's chances.
I do too, just for the fact that this is such a funny game. Here we thought after the Tampa game, guns a-blazing, and they were just going to go on a roll for the rest of the season. Here we go, buckle up. And then they lay this, flaming bag of garbage in front of us. So I don't know. After a bye week, right?
After a bye week.
So, but here's my question: is the Washington Commanders beat the Lions last year for the division. So who are these Commanders? Dane?
I don't think they're the same team as they were last year. And now with Jaden Daniels out, they certainly aren't. But, it's interesting looking over, this last Sunday. Luckily, the Packers lost, right?
Yep.
And that was good. And then, but the Bears they end up winning. Colson Coughlin comes through with the last second catch. That was a great play by him. But now we find ourselves tied with the Bears for second place. That's what?
Yeah.
And so now all of a sudden the division is very, very tight. And the Vikings are 4-4. So last week I said, hey, maybe I need to revise my, my prediction for the year or the season.
I thought of you. I thought of you when I was listening.
Now I'm back to my 10-7. I think I'm still pretty good with that. Anyway, I agree. When you look at who the Commanders have beat this year, they beat the Giants. They're 2-7. They beat the Raiders. The Raiders are 2-6.
Right.
They did beat the Chargers. They're 6-3. But that's the only team with a winning record that they've beaten. They're not the same team as last year. And I agree with Junko. I like Detroit's.
Hey, do you know, Dane? Do you know if that Chargers win was that at home or on the road?
Don't know. I don't.
Okay.
Don't recall.
I would be willing to bet it was at home, but
me too.
Yeah,
probably was.
All right. Well, let's take a look at this game. 4:25 start at Northwest Stadium in Washington D.C. The 5-3 Lions against the 3-6 Washington Commanders. Right now, early odds, Lions are 7.5 to 8.5 point favorites, with the over and under anywhere between 49 and 50.5. With that in mind, Junko Bodie, give us a prediction.
Well, I like the under in the game for sure. I think both teams are right now going through some stuff offensively, even though the Lions defense isn't very good and neither is Washington. So, here's the thing though. Dan Campbell teams haven't lost consecutive regular season games since November of 22.
Correct.
So on that stat, I'm going to say Detroit 27, Washington 20. And
right,
remembering that 27 is a key stat for Detroit.
Right. Yeah, I had that somewhere. I was going to bring that up, and I forgot to bring it up. But yeah, you mentioned that 27 is a key number. Yeah. But go ahead, Dane.
Well, I'm jumping on that 27 also, and I do think Detroit's going to bounce back on this one. I've got them 27-14.
Ooh.
Okay. And I'll raise your 27 by 7. I'll go Lions 34, Commanders 17. So
what is that? That's 34, 17. So that's 44 points. What you have? Yeah. 51.
Yeah, it's the over.
51.
51. What's the over again?
50.5.
Oh,
so Bob's got him over by a half.
Yeah,
I do.
Okay.
I think they're going to be under. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. And it is an away game.
Bob must be thinking like Vegas there. They're right on the number together there.
All right, you guys ready for some Lions trivia? I got it for you.
Yeah, let's give it to us.
All right. So Lions travel to Washington, D.C. on Sunday. So let's take a look at a little Lions Washington Football Club playoff history. Lions have faced the D.C. team a total of 4 times in the history of both franchises. Most recently, last year, of course, we remember that divisional round. The first time was in 1982. Wild card game, the Lions lost that one, shocker, 31-7. That was a Joe Theismann team that went on to win the Super Bowl. The 1982 season, though, taking a look at the whole season, had some very unusual aspects. I'm going to ask you, which of these things did not happen in the 1982 NFL season? One of these things did not happen. All right, 16 teams qualified for the playoffs, or the first Super Bowl hosted by a northern city, or teams with a losing record actually made the playoffs, and there were only 9 regular season games. Which one of those things did not happen?
Run through them quickly one more time.
Wow.
All right. 16 teams.
Now.
16 teams qualified for the playoffs. There was for the first time, a Super Bowl in a northern city. Teams with losing records qualified for the playoffs, and there were only 9 regular season games.
I'm going with Super Bowl in a northern city.
All right.
I thought isn't that the year they played in Detroit? I can't even remember.
Well,
Did they play? Was that the Bengals game? I can't remember. Let's say I'm going to say it was the first time I'll go with the nine conference games or division games.
You're saying there were more than 9 regular season games.
Right.
Okay. The false statement was the first Super Bowl hosted by a northern city. So that was 1983. But the 1982 season was shortened because of the players' strike. The players struck on September 21st and lasted for 57 days. The Super Bowl that year was in Pasadena. What they decided to do, because of the shortened season, there were only 9 regular season games. So the NFL decided we're going to have a Super Bowl tournament, and we're going to take 8 teams from each conference, which meant 2 teams were in the playoffs with losing records. As a bonus, you want to guess which 2?
Detroit.
Uh-huh. And Cleveland.
Cleveland was in the playoffs? That was an anomaly year.
So that was kind of fun.
Detroit too.
Yeah, Cleveland and Detroit were like, I think it was like, there were 9 games, so it was like 3-6 or something like that, or 4-5. But they had losing records, and of course that was the game that they lost to the Redskins in the first round. So there you go. Now, okay, where am I? I was just so cool with my question, man. How about them? I'm kind of disoriented here because we usually do Lions second. So now
that's right, we do.
Let's switch gears. Let's switch. I was ready to read the close. So Michigan. Yeah, we got to talk about this, right? 21-16 win over Purdue. It was scary. It had to be Halloween, right? But a win is a win. And however unfulfilling that was, Dane, I bet you were on pins and needles swearing a Blue Dane streak. Just give me some general thoughts on that game, and then you can pass it on to Junko.
General thoughts. I had to keep in mind the whole game, although, as Deb will tell you, I was losing it from time to time. But, you know, with the number of injuries that we have right now, this isn't the same team. This really isn't the same team from just a couple of weeks ago. I mean, we just, with Haynes being out, Hansen, Moore, Roller, Sullivan, Link, he's gone. When we lost for the whole season, the freshman, the 5-star, Babalola, what the heck? We have so many injuries that it's really not the same team, and these coaches are scrambling to put people out there they think are going to do the job, and I think they did a pretty good job of that. Now, where we really fell apart, though, I would say, again on special teams, and this time though, it wasn't my man whose name I will not say today. But it was Marsh. You're 4 yards into the end zone. Just take a knee. Take the ball out at the 20 or 25 where they start. Let's just take a knee. And he's trying to run out, and he gets out to like the 10, 12-yard line. Boom, he's done. And especially early in the season when he fumbled the ball, the coaches, now later in the game, he took 2 more deep in the end zone, and the coaches obviously told him take a knee, because he listened to him and he actually took a knee. On defense, I predicted 10 points for Purdue. Not too far from off from that. They ended up scoring 16. But Bryce just looked so uncomfortable. He was getting pressure. The O-line did no pass protection. He wasn't seeing the field. There were wide open receivers he just didn't see, or he was missing wide open receivers, just airmailing it right over their head. And there was who was it down the middle? I can't remember. Early in the game, he hit him. If he would have hit him, it was a touchdown. And he just threw it too far. He's still got that rocket arm, and he doesn't know how to control that rocket arm. Yes, he's a freshman. Understand. But, it's just I hate seeing Bryce that way. He's very uncomfortable in there. He had a couple of nice runs. And I'll just finish it off with thank God for Marshall.
Yeah.
And that the O-line can sort of block for the runs. But Marshall, a lot of those runs, especially that last freaking touchdown, he was lost in the sea of humanity, and all of a sudden, boom, he pops out and he's in the end zone. How the hell did he do that? So thank God for Marshall, because if we lose him, it's going to be rough. And I know Junko. I'm going to say this about Junko. Earlier in the season, we started having these injuries. He said, "What's going on with our strength and conditioning?" We lost our strength and conditioning coach. Who was really doing a great job a couple of years ago. What's going on with it now? Why all these? Especially when you just hear, "Oh, he's got an upper body injury, or he's got a lower body injury." It's not a knee. It's not something specific. It's like, "Oh, he got banged up a little bit, and now he can't play." It sounds like conditioning and strength to me. I don't know. Junko, I'll give you credit for that one. I think maybe that's an issue.
Well, I do think there's something that's not 100% with the strength and conditioning. But here's the other thing too. When you're talking about that, is that Michigan has chosen to play in a phone booth, right? They want to bang. They want this physical style of play. And that's going to get your players banged up. And when you're playing every team down to the wire, where you don't, where you don't step on their throat early and get some margin of victory, so that you can rest your starters later in the game, which Michigan isn't resting starters in the fourth quarter like Ohio State is, right? Their guys are going out in the third and fourth quarter. They're healthy. We're not healthy because our guys are playing the whole game. And part of that has to do with the style of play that we have adopted. So, if you're going to play that style of play, you better be damn deep, and we're not that deep, especially on defense. I said last week we needed to get off to a fast start in this game so we could work on the passing game, and we came out passing and got off to a really slow start, and then we ran the ball in the second half.
Yeah.
I just look at it, I go, okay, I guess we did that backwards. Here's the thing that bothered me most about the game, though, guys, was the time of possession, right? Purdue possessed the ball for almost 33 minutes of this game. They let Purdue to them exactly what USC did to them, which was dink and dunk them, right? We're sitting back there with these two young safeties, 25 yards down the field. We've only got two linebackers in the game, and they're throwing to our wings, and we got nobody out there. And that happened time and time and time and time again. Yes, we held them under their yardage for the season, but we still gave up 198 yards rushing. 198. Ridiculous. So anyway, they finally pulled. I know Dane was dogging Samaj. I see you look at the stats. Am I wrong on that rushing stat?
Yeah,
Dane?
I think it's 138.
All right, still 138 yards rushing. They finally pulled Samaj at the end of at wide receiver after that one drop, and then they bring in Browder. And what does he do on third down? He has one hit him in the chest, and he drops it. So. I think the last real thing that bothered me about this game was watching how poorly our special teams play was. Dane mentioned Marsh, but how many punts almost hit our blockers in the back of the head? There had to be two or three of those. Actually, I think they actually did block one of them.
Yikes.
So, that's week 2 stuff in fall camp. right? Here we are. How do we get here? And our special teams coach, I can tell you right now, he's toast. Right, it's over for him at the end of the season. So I know that. Dane and I were both very windy there, but there's a lot to say about this team. So let's move on.
When you look at it, the critical plays that really hurt us, we were down in the red zone, right? The interception that Bryce threw, he had a guy open in the end zone. He tries to squeeze it in there, and then his fumble out of the end zone was, just a killer, because we'd have been down on the 3-yard line or something there, and both of those would have, I'm sure ended up in some points. So the score wouldn't have been as close as it was. So that was a killer. Two critical mistakes, and that was the thing Sharon was saying. That's what I really like about Bryce, is he takes care of the football. Boom, interception, and boom, fumble out of the end zone for a touchback, and it was just that was gut wrenching watching that. I felt for him, but it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah. Well, to piggyback on what you were saying, Dane, Junko, the offense was just a little clunky. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it just had no rhythm. And you would think against Purdue, 21 points seems rather meager, to put it mildly. So what happened to the offense?
Yeah. I mean, that's the big question, right, Bob? I mean, that's what everybody wants to know. Where did that game come from, right? It's at home, under the lights, national TV, but here's the thing about it. If you got a Ferrari, it doesn't matter how good the Ferrari is if you got nobody to drive it. And quarterback is a key position, right? And we didn't drive the Ferrari last night, but you mentioned complimentary football earlier, Bob.
Yeah.
And I thought our complimentary football this week was the worst I've seen it since before Jim Harbaugh came to town. That was terrible. And aside from the receiver drops and the Bryce fumble recovery, which, by the way, was super unlucky. First of all, he fumbles the ball, but for it to roll out just outside the cone, I mean, that's just damn unlucky, right?
Inside, yeah.
So I was unhappy with all that, but there were a couple things that I was happy with. I mean, I thought the running game really operated at a high level, both the offensive line and the running backs. I mean, and I liked the game that Chip Lindsey called. He had open guys downfield the whole game. Our guys were running around back there all wide open. We just couldn't get them the ball. Right, and I'm gonna tell you what. We've had all those injuries on the offensive line, and this group that we have now, the work to me, when they graded out this week, they're going to see that El Hadi got the lowest grade on that offensive line, and he's the upperclassman. The future is super bright for Michigan on the offensive line. Yeah. I love what's going on there. So some unhappy stuff, but also even in this awful win, but there's some silver linings.
So Dane, I want to ask you. Yeah, you want to talk about the offense a little bit? I was going to ask you about defense.
I was just going to say, Bryce threw for more yards than he did the previous week. 86 the previous week. He threw for 145 this week. A little better. Nothing spectacular. But Zach Marshall, too. He had 58 yards, 3 receptions. And he came through a couple of times, even though he was getting bullets from Bryce. The one he almost didn't get, and he brought it in for a nice gain, which was great. So I think the on that side of things, there were, a couple. We were better than 50% on third down efficiency. We haven't done that, I don't think, all season. So 398 total yards.
Some good.
So yeah.
What about
part
the defense?
Of it was, Dane, that we just didn't have the ball that much because of what was going on the defensive side. That time of possession stat.
We scored pretty.
So I mean, that's complementary football, right? The defense takes the ball back, gives the offense time to operate. The offense holds the ball, lets the defense rest. That's what complementary football is. We had 0 of that on Saturday.
So the defense just gave up 16 points. Not bad, respectable. But there's a lot of angst going around. So, Dane, were you happy with the Michigan defense?
I was happy considering the number of substitutes we had in there and the number of injuries, especially the linebacking core. And then, Barham goes out. He only played like 2 plays, and now he's out. Jay Shun's out on the sideline, and he's got some upper body injury now. So for those, I think Taylor was in there. He's a guy from Georgia we were talking about last week. I can't think of his name.
Bowles.
I thought they actually played pretty darn well. In fact, I think Bowles had a number of he had like six tackles or something like that. So the D, they had 3 sacks. They had a fumble recovery, and they forced that fumble and they had a fumble recovery, and they held them to 276 total yards. So not a bad performance considering that we had a number of backups in at the time. So yeah, the D, like I said, I expected Purdue to score 10. They scored 16. I'm
You're okay with it?
The D, all things considered.
All right. Junko, any defensive thoughts? Did we lose JB?
I think we lost him. There he's back. And we can't
Are you
hear
back?
you, though.
No, you're out.
Can't hear you.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on, right? So we got message boards on fire with fire Sharon Moore. That talk always seems to come up. And why are fans so restless with what Sharon's doing? And the reality is, after this game and 3 games to go, he ain't going anywhere. What do you think, Dane?
Yeah, I say, pump the brakes, everyone. Pump the brakes on Sharon and pump the brakes on Underwood. And I'm guilty of the thing on Underwood. I think in some of the texts I was saying, maybe you should give some of that money back the way he's playing, Okay, just let's just hold up here for a minute, after I regain my senses. Sharon, I think the reason why we're 7-2, we're 5-1 in the Big Ten, we're tied for 3rd in the Big Ten. Come on, easy now.
Right.
But I think the hype around Underwood, knowing what we had in the backfield, and then what we thought we were going to have in the receiving core, I think all that hype got us to a point where we should be blowing people out, and we're just not there. We're winning games. Okay, I mean, yeah, we're biting our nails. But we're winning games. We're 3rd in the Big Ten. We're 5-1 in the Big Ten. Let's just pump the brakes on Sharon right now in Underwood. Let's give them this break. Let's see how they do. When they come out against Northwestern, right? Northwestern, they're looking pretty. They're 3-2 in the Big Ten. So that'll be a good test going into Maryland and then the big one.
Big one. So, Junko, Dane is saying pump the brakes a little bit. Are you in that same camp, or are you getting a little antsy with Sharon Moore on your own? Did you happen to hear that question? Junko?
I don't think
He's not there, huh?
No. I think
All right.
lost.
All right. We're moving on then.
All right.
We got the bye week coming up. So now what's Michigan going to do over the next 12 days? What are they going to work on, Dane?
Oh, healing up.
Yeah.
A number of ice baths, a number of massages, whatever you need to do to heal up. And, I think it's just the time to heal is probably the biggest thing. They've got to work on some special team issues, and they've got to work on Bryce. He looks so uncomfortable in there. They've got to, give him some, chances to make some short passes or something. Although they were trying last week or this past Saturday, and he just couldn't hit them. So I don't know what they need to do to get his confidence up, but something's got to happen with Bryce.
Okay. Well, Michigan is 21 right now in the country, ranked 21st. Are they still a college football playoff contender? Dane, why don't you go over a couple games that happened this weekend that could affect that, and look forward to some key games in the coming weeks that may put Michigan in a better light, or maybe doom their chances for a college football playoff. Why don't you go through some scenarios there?
I think actually in the AP poll, they moved up to 20th, which
Okay.
sort of surprised me, and they were actually ahead of USC who USC demolished them.
Yeah,
So
right.
this polling thing is kind of weird. I mean, USC I think was 21st and we were 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Don't quite understand that, but okay. At this point, I don't think that matters a whole lot. Yeah, there were some games out there like the USC game where USC got beat. I think Ohio just keeps rolling along.
Right.
Our only chances are to win out, to even have a shot at the playoffs. Do I think we're a playoff team? Boy, I tell you, I don't think we look that way. Too many mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
and again, too many injuries. I don't think we're a playoff team. But if we were somehow, I mean, last year I did predict Michigan to beat Ohio. In my head, I'm going, I don't think so, but they ended up doing it. So anything's possible here.
Okay.
But they've got to get past Northwestern. They got to get past Maryland. They've got to beat Ohio. And then, hey, if they beat Ohio, actually, I think we might be in there.
Well, win out. When you say win out, you mean also against Ohio.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The next three games, they have to win. Well, I mean, if they lose, because they'll have a 3-loss record, and I don't think any 3-loss team is going to get into the playoffs.
Okay. All right. So that's where we're headed, right? Junko had a few scenarios. We might want to cover those next week for sake of conversation. The next opponent will be Northwestern in 2 weeks because of the bye week next week. That's going to be at Wrigley Field. That's going to be a lot of fun. We'll cover that and give our predictions next week when that happens. But I would be remiss if I didn't ask Blue Dane about Michigan hockey. What's going on?
Very good. Hey, so they took down the Fighting Irish this past week, and they won both games against the Fighting Irish. They're still number 2 in the nation. I'm trying to remember. I think they play Wisconsin this coming weekend. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So guess who's number 1 in the nation in hockey?
I don't know.
Our friends up north, just north of us.
Oh,
Sparty.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
Sparty.
No kidding.
Michigan State is number 1 right now in hockey in the nation, and we're sitting at number 2. So
we gotta start.
Yeah.
We gotta start giving some Sparty updates on Spartan hockey. Well, okay, so it is time for that moment where we wake the kids and call the neighbors, because it is time for Dane's useless but interesting trivia. I'll let you have it. Go ahead, Dano.
Yeah, so, I've covered mascots from other teams. I've talked
Yes,
about
you have.
why other teams are named the way they are, how'd they get their names and all that. And I got to thinking today, and we're on a bye week, so I said, I've never talked about the Wolverines. How did we get our name? How did Michigan get the Wolverines? And, Michigan's called from time to time the Wolverine State.
Sure.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
So how the heck did, first off, Michigan, not the University of Michigan, but Michigan just become the Wolverine State? How do you think?
Well, I don't know. Did the nickname for the football team come first, or did the state rodent come first?
It's kind of close there, but
okay.
All
right. Well,
the state got
is there an abundance of Wolverines like somewhere in northern Michigan?
Well, that's a good point. There may have been early on, but the trapping of they have great pelts. They've got they're water repellent pelts. So their fur was very sought after back in the early days. So there probably was in at least the Upper Peninsula, but they were just trapped into extinction. Now they're mainly up in Canada and that. But really, people thought that the settlers in Michigan were very fierce, and that actually the word Wolverine in other languages translates to glutton. That they eat a lot, I guess, and so they thought that also the Michiganders of early years were gluttons. But a good question on the Wolverines in the state, and I wish we had Junko's still with us. But actually, there hadn't been a sighting in the state for over 200 years. But in 2004, they actually had a wolverine sighting in Ubly, Michigan. Ubly, Michigan. Do you happen to know where that is?
Ubly is, I want to say, I think it's in the UP, right?
No, it's in the thumb.
Okay.
It's up by Deckerville.
Boy. I don't think
went to high school. Yeah,
that would be very entertaining to hear his reaction, because I think he dated a few girls that were pretty ugly.
I like that. That's really good. But anyway, yeah. So 2004 was a sighting. They found the same animal dead in 2010, and that's been the only sighting in Michigan. So
okay.
But now back to the Michigan Wolverines. In 1883, they got their name because everyone said they were fierce competitors. So
okay.
The question I have for you, though, they don't have a mascot right now, right?
Right.
Have they ever had a mascot?
I would say, you mean like a furry mascot, not like a Wolverine in a crate.
Either or.
Okay.
Just a mascot, a guy running around.
Yeah. No, I would say no to the actual Wolverine in a cage, but yes to a furry person in a Wolverine costume. I will say yes.
Well, unfortunately, that is incorrect.
On both counts?
Yeah. So They've never had an official mascot, but they had an unofficial mascot back in the 1920s. It was Biff the mascot. So Biff the Wolverine, right? So the first one was just a stuffed Wolverine. The second one was actually a live Wolverine. And so they ended up having two Wolverines. They had Biff and Benny, but they just became too ferocious to take them to games anymore. They were getting out of hand. Sort of like that Badger story about Wisconsin.
Right.
But in the 1980s, the students actually wanted Willie the Wolverine, a guy with a Wolverine costume, right? And the university said, we don't think so. And that's been it. So we've never had an official mascot in Michigan, but we've had unofficial.
So has there ever been like a rogue Wolverine guy in a costume somewhere just like hanging out in Ann Arbor?
Especially now that they're selling alcohol there, probably.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Hey, children, consult your local library for more information on Wolverines.
There you go.
All right, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, and how can you not, right? Smack that like button wherever you listen. In addition to Spotify, we can also be seen and heard on our YouTube channel, Lowdown on Motown Sports. All you got to do is put the Lowdown on Motown Sports in the search bar, and you can subscribe. You'll get notified whenever we have a new show. Find us on Facebook. Junko is always putting stuff on there about Michigan and Motown sports. Leave a comment or a question. We would love to hear from you. This podcast is part of Junko Bodie Productions and an exclusive production of the Lowdown on Motown Sports Network. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on the Lowdown on Motown.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Lowdown on Motown Sports Podcast. If you're liking what you're hearing, then why don't you do us a solid and rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show. And, we're pretty awesome, so why not share the awesomeness? We appreciate it. Again, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Lowdown on Motown Sports Podcast.